Hey guys, how are you? Welcome to the EBM Scholars Show, and today I'm here with the very quick update about the DV 2021. What is the status of the DV 2021? That is one among the questions I've been receiving over and over. People have been asking me that question, and even when you go to the Twitter, they've been asking those kind of questions in the comment here. People want to know what is the status. I've already talked about the status of DV 2020, those who have been waiting for the interviews and what has happened to them. The video is on the description here, but this is for the DV lottery winners of 2021. There are two aspects of this kind of about two aspects of this DV 2021. There are those who are inside the United States and there are those who are outside the United States. The situation will be a little bit different, and I will go ahead and tell you what makes the difference between these one. So this is going to cut across those who are in the US and those who are those who are not in the US. What will be the process to go about it? So before I continue, I'd like you to subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't done so, and remember to share these videos to others. So let me start. Yesterday and the day before yesterday, the Department of State, through the Council for Bureau for Consular Affairs on Twitter, has tried to be answering some of the questions, and most of the questions have been directed to, obviously I've talked about DV 2020, but there are a lot of questions specifically for DV 2021. Some people still don't understand some of the things which have been talked about, but what does that mean when we are talking overall about the DV 2021? So there are a few things I'll be reading on my computer here just to make sure that we are all on the same page and you all understand what exactly we mean on certain kind of thing. So the question is, overall question is, how does overall the presidential proclamation affect, or how will it impact the diversity visa applicant, the DV lottery winners, DV 2021? So these are a couple of things. Number one, you have to understand that the DV lottery winners, we call DV 2021 because the lottery winners start to process on the fiscal year. The government fiscal year starts on October 1st. That is when the year starts. That's why we call it DV 2021, even if people are starting getting interviews to come to America or to do adjustment of status on October 1st, 2020. But basically, in the government mind, the fiscal year is already 2021. So that's one, let's clear about that one. For that case, with the current proclamation, the suspension of the various non-immigrant visas, and most of these are work-related visas, and immigrant visas, which include green card lottery, by the way, has been suspended until December 31st, which means no one will be able to be given the visas between now and from October to December. But I'll come to give explanation or some exceptions for those who are already in the United States. What will that work? And I will mention about obviously visa bulletin because it is still confusing to other people. So, according to the Department of State, on the Twitter account, this is what they answered, and I'm going to read it here. They said, the DV program has multiple stages. DV 2021 applicants won't be interviewed until the fiscal year 2021. However, the suspension does apply to the DV applicants with certain exceptions. The proclamation will expire on December 31st unless extended. So there are a couple of things here you have to understand. Number one, they say the DV 2021 applicants, the winners, won't be interviewed until the fiscal year 2021. The fiscal year starts on October 1st. That's how it is. But the proclamation goes until December 31st, unless otherwise extended. So let's go assume it goes to December. So you cannot be interviewed at the US Embassy to come to America until after December 31st. That's the first meaning. But what does that mean from October 1st? What does that apply also to the people, the DV lottery winners who are in the United States of America? We have a group, WhatsApp groups for people who have won the DV lottery 2021. So there are groups of everybody, and there are groups. There is a group specifically for the DV lottery winners who are in the United States, because their process is a little bit different, and there has been a lot of confusion on filling the adjustment of status, and when should they fill the adjustment of status. I'm not a lawyer. Let's talk about that one. I'll give my opinion on what I know about this kind of situation, and if you want professional advice, disclaimer, you have to go to a lawyer and get that advice. But what I know is part of the immigration. So those who are in the United States, they are supposed to do what we call adjustment of status. It means they don't fill the DS260. DS260 form is a form which is filled by people who are outside the United States. That means they are filling the Department of State form to go to the US Embassy, to get the visa, to get immigrant visa, to get a green card visa to come to America. So they are dealing with the embassy. That's why the embassy is under the Department of State. But those who are in the United States, they are not dealing with the Department of State. We have to know the difference. They are dealing with the Department of Homeland Security. And more specifically, they are dealing with the agents about USCIS, United States Immigration. That's what they are dealing with. Citizenship and Immigration, whatever, services. That's what they are dealing with. So their forms are different. The forms you are filling under the Department of Homeland Security or through USCIS are the forms which start with I, which is immigration. So you are dealing with the forms I-485, request to do adjustment of status or get a green card while you are already in the United States. So basically, just like how it is for the winners of the DV lottery who are outside of the United States, they are going to fill the form DS260 not until their visa is available on the visa bulletin. Be very careful in this one. If you have won the DV lottery and you are outside the United States, from day one you are allowed to go ahead and fill the form DS260. You don't need to wait until your visa number is available to fill the form, because once you fill the form DS260, there are processes. You accomplish the form today, it passes maybe a week, the KCC, Kentucky Consular Center, will email you that we have received your DS260. Then it can pass a couple months, then the KCC, at one point they will email you, submit the following documents. You will submit those documents. They will review those documentations you have submitted, marriage certificate, birth certificate, bio page for the passport, all those kind of documentation, police clearance record. You submit all those documents. Once they have those documents, it will pass for a long time, a little bit. Then they will send you email or notification. We call it the second notification that the date of your interview has been scheduled to this date. Once you have the date for the interview, when they send that email for the interview, at least they will send that letter. You have at least more than a month to go to the interview. A month and a half in most cases. Because once they send that notification is the time when you are supposed to do the medical. And they know some people, they have to go and get some money and all other kind of things in order to do the medical. And also to get the money for the visa interview, when you are supposed to pay, especially for the people with the family. Maybe you have come with 4 people, that is a lot of money. So, or some people, they are in other countries, they want to travel to their home country to meet with their family to do the visa interview. So they don't just send you right away, visa is available today, then you submit your document today, they are going to give the visa interview today. No, it processes for a couple of months. So for that case, if you are in the US, you don't need to wait. I know there are some of the attorneys or lawyers, they are telling you, you have to wait until the visa bulletin says your visa is available currently to fill the form I-485, adjustment of status. Don't wait, because the more you wait for the interview. Let's say you are your process, let's say your case number is, you are from Africa, for instance, or you are from Asia. Your case number maybe is, let's say, is 4,000. I'm giving an example. You are from Africa, 4,000. In a normal way, if you're outside of the United States, your interview will be most likely in October, if there is no this kind of change. So if you are waiting until September, when they give you the visa bulletin that the October next month, the visa interview will be from 0 to 5,000, then you go to fill the form DS260, it means you will not be able to do the visa interview in October. Why? Because it is very simple. The time you send, they have to review the document, I mean your application, then they have to request the documents, you have to go to get the police clearance record. If you live in 2 countries, wherever, you have to get all this information to send it to KCC. KCC will take a couple weeks to review your documents, then to send the interview date. The interview date will be sent at least more than a month ahead. So you will not be having the interview, even if your case number is 1, you will not have the interview in October. Your interview will be putting further ahead. So the same way, even if you are in the US. So if you are waiting for the visa bulletin to be available on your date, like your case number, you'll be pushing things ahead. So just like people outside the US, they are filling the DS260 regardless of when their case number is. Even if it's 50,000, you don't wait until August next year to fill the form. You fill the form right away once you have all the documents. So the same way you are winner of the DV lottery, you are in the US, you do adjustment of status. You can fill the form right now. That's number 1. You don't need to wait for the visa availability. I'll come back to the people who are in the US and explaining how does this not affecting you. For those who are outside the United States, they are going to be affected by this proclamation. How? Instead of the visa interviews to start in October, the visa interviews will start in January 2021. That will not affect you, in the sense that, because the question people are asking related to that is, usually they're supposed to issue maximum of 55,000 visas. That is for the many applicants, regardless of their dependents. But if they're starting in January, it will be late to have all the interviews until October, until end of September. No, don't worry at all. They will be able to provide the visa interview for all 55,000 winners without any problem. They'll be able to do that. Remember, the visa interview at the US Embassy is at least 5 minutes. So it's just they put more interviews. That's simple like that. So it doesn't affect. It's not the interview they're going to interview for 10 hours. No, it's 5 minutes. So if they were used to interview maybe, let's say 5 people for DV lottery and the rest were visiting visas, they will be interviewing more DV lottery winners. That will be simple like that. So no matter what, they'll give people to have opportunity of the interviews before the end of September 2021. So don't worry about that one. Okay, another thing is, will the visa bulletin be updated? Yes, the visa bulletin will continue to be updated as normal. But on the DV lottery will be different. First of all, people don't understand. The visa bulletin is not just talking about just DV lottery. The visa bulletin has so many categories. There is a category of family-based visa interviews. Visas available for those, if let's say, for me, I'm sponsoring my sister. There are certain numbers you have. So those categories will continue. Visa bulletin will continue to be out. But whether they give the number for the DV lottery, that you are available to do the visa interview in October, you cannot do the visa interview in October until January. So even if they send it, just in case we do not know yet, even if they will send you the invitation to go to the visa interview, you cannot show up to the visa interview at the US Embassy, because you cannot do that, because they will not give you the visa, because you have to, what you need to ask extension of having the visa interview in January if you have the visa interview before that. But I believe they will not give you the visa interview before December. But those who are in the US, there is something they need to understand. What they need to understand is the proclamation, the scope of this proclamation. So the immigrant visas, this proclamation, which is coming out in June, is extension of the previous April 22nd proclamation. So that's why this one, they talk more about the work visas. People, they ask, so if they talk about the work visas, how does this affect the green card lottery? The green card lottery winners are not work visa. They are not coming just like H1 visa. They're not coming H1, H2B. They're not coming as L visa, J1 visa. This is different. It's immigrant visa. But why we don't see in this proclamation? In this proclamation, what they say, in addition to the previous immigrant suspension, which is also going to be until December, they added other visas, because on the previous one, there was no non-immigrant visas. So let's go to the original one, April 22nd, immigrant suspension. What is the scope of this suspension or the limitation of the entry to the United States for people who is not affected? And I will be talking specifically for those who are already in the United States. It says as follows. In the section 2, scope of suspension and limitation on entry. A, the suspension and limitation on entry pursuant to the section A of this proclamation shall apply only to aliens who are outside the United States of America on the date of proclamation, which was April 22nd, up to today until December. So this applies only if you are outside the United States. What does that mean? If you are not in the United States, this does not apply to you. Does that make sense to you? Okay. So if you are already in the United States, this does not affect you. So if it doesn't affect you, it means for those who are in the US and they have won the DV lottery, they are allowed to fill the form I-485 and do adjustment of status regardless of this kind of proclamation, or instead of 14 December. So my opinion is, we do not know how we'll play around. How will they go and invite you to the visa interview if, let's say, the visa bulletin will not be going to be updated on the aspect of the DV lottery winners? So no matter what, fill the form and continue with adjustment of status, because adjustment of status does not apply, it does not affect you because you are in the United States. The biggest problem will be if you are in the US and your spouse is in another country. That will be different. How do you do that? So you'll be able to do on your own while you're here, different from other situation. So this is something you need to understand. If you're in the United States, go ahead and fill the adjustment of status, because the original proclamation is only applicable for the people who are outside the United States on the effective date of the proclamation, and those people who do not have the immigrant visas on the effective date. So it means if you are already in the United States, it doesn't affect you. You can be able to apply and continue with this kind of process as normal. So that is something you need to understand on that. Another thing is, another status is, we are saying, let me go and read you on this one. On the Twitter account, when they say, so basically we are expecting everybody will be starting like in a normal way. If you are outside the United States, no matter what, you will start your interviews for the DV2021 in January 2021. January 2nd, because January 1st is public holiday. The US Embassy doesn't open on that day. So they say, so however, the suspension does apply to the DV applicants with certain exceptions. The proclamation will expire on December 31st unless extended. There is that word, unless extended. So we do not know whether it will be extended. The extension will be determined by the labor market, how it is, and it will be able to know that by the end of the year and how it will be. And I'm going to read the current proclamation, which has been signed on June 22nd by the President Donald J. Trump. On section 4, termination, it says as follows: this proclamation shall expire on December 31st, 2020, and it may be continue as necessary. Listen, may be continued as necessary. So there is no guarantee it will be ending in December 31st. if the situation continues to be more or less the same currently we are having, like unemployment continue to be 13%, like how we are having now, obviously it will be able to be continued. Within 30 days of June 24th, 2020, and every 60 days from June, whatever, so after every 60 days thereafter, while this proclamation is in effect, it will continue to be in effect until December, the Secretary of Homeland Security shall, in consultation with the Secretary of State and the Secretary of Labor, recommend any modification as may be necessary. So after every 60 days from June 24th, so in August 24th, in October 24th, in December 24th, they will be able to give any necessary changes if they are going to see there is any need to make any change. So the situation will be basically in August they will continue to be the same, in October will be the same. The August one will be able to determine the DV 2022. But in December 24th, that is when they are going to provide another proclamation. Whether there will be extension from December 21st, 2020, which will be the end, will be that going to be extended from January to somewhere else. So that is another status you need to understand. But at the moment, if you are outside the United States, go ahead and fill the form DS260 without any problem. Continue everything as necessary. For those who don't have the passport for their loved ones, their spouse, their children, don't submit your DS260 form yet. Make sure that you have your passport for your spouse, passport for your children, and go ahead and fill the form to submit. There is no rush on this one. Make sure that you have all the necessary documents and submit those documents and wait for KCC to go ahead and schedule for your interview beginning of the year 2020. I believe I've been able to answer most of the questions with regard to the status of the DV 2021. And for those who were planning to come here and then their spouse or their children will come later, my advice, please don't do that mistake. Do opportunity of coming of all together at once. I know there are financial constraints and all other things. Find a way to come all at once. Because let's say you come alone here, and maybe by month of May, there is another pandemic, another coronavirus comes back in May next year. They are going to cancel the DV lottery. That means your spouse will not be able to come. And even if you say your spouse will come later or your children will come later, remember you are the DV lottery winner for DV 2021. It means your spouse, no matter what, must come to the United States before the end of the DV year, which will be before September 30th, 2021. So no matter what, your spouse must come here. You cannot say, oh, this benefit will be used in another year, 2022. No, you are the winner of DV 2021. You must be in the US, being present in the US. Or actually have that visa on hand by the end of September. Because if you can, after having that visa, you can wait for 6 months. So even if you say you are coming here, your spouse will go to the interview later. Remember, your spouse must be at the visa interview before September 30th, 2021. But if you are waiting up to that time when you are already here in the US, what if situation comes that they're going to cancel? That means your spouse will continue to be in your country and you are here. You'll be completely in big trouble. So the better way is come together, all of you here in America. Within the month, you'll get your actual green card. Once you receive your actual green card, then your spouse and your children, if you want them to go back to your country, if they live in Ghana, they live in Kenya, they live in Tanzania, they live in whatever country you are, let them go there and stay there, but they already have the actual card. They will not have any problem because at that time, they will be green card holders. But don't make a bet like, oh, let them stay, they'll come later. Remember, this opportunity of the DV lottery, people here in the US, they fight for over 10, 15 years to get that actual green card. And these people are taxpayers here. They are working so hard. They are contributing to this country. And you are sitting on the computer. You just go there and fill the form and you want the DV lottery. And now you have all these options. Oh, my spouse will come later. Trust me. With what development is going on with the pandemic and the economic recovery, anything might change. They might change at any point that let's end this DV lottery and your spouses or your children are in another country. Don't deny that opportunity to them. Come all of you at once, get the actual card, let them go back to your country if you want one person to be here while you are waiting. So that is something I want to make sure that you understand what does that mean. So in case you have any question, please put on the comment below. I'll be back and answer those kind of questions. Remember to subscribe to this YouTube channel, but share these videos to other people too. Goodbye everyone. This is EBM, Ernest Boniface Makulilo, and this is EBM Scholars Channel.